Notre Dame's newest commitment in the 2021 class is Mitchell Evans, a tight end from Wadsworth, Ohio High School, just outside of Akron. I'm Mike Singer, blueandgold.com recruiting insider, joined by our beat writer, Patrick Engel, to talk about this new commitment for the Fighting Irish. Listed at 6'7", 240, really interesting size right there. Picked Notre Dame over Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Michigan State, Pitt, Purdue, Virginia, West Virginia. I mean, long list of offers, just over 20. Second commit of the class at tight end, Patrick. He joins Kane Barong, a four-star from Georgia. Let's first talk about the roster at tight end. A lot of Notre Dame fans have asked me, Mike, why are they taking two tight ends in this class? They just took two last year. This is going to be a smaller class. Why are we taking two tight ends? What's your take on that, Patrick?
It's interesting in that you're going to have, at least at first, a bit of a backlog. And I know there's some discussion on, all right, what does Tommy Tremble do? If he has, a big year that he's kind of in line to, at least have a big jump in targets and catches with his ascension into a starting job. I'm not sure I'm going to go to the point where he's going to be gone after this year or anything like that. But certainly in the case where you have someone in Tremble who, at least the option is there for, all right, is he really going to be, a 5-year guy because he has the red shirt? I'm not sure I would, lock that in either. And then, of course, it's always the option that Michael Mayer, the highest rated tight end they've signed since Kyle Rudolph, is a star who you can't take off the field and becomes a 3 and done. And obviously hasn't even played a college practice yet, but that's the kind of thing that, you might at least expect from a guy who's ranked that highly and kind of impact that you would think someone of his stature would have. So not a whole lot of, immediate opportunity here for Mitchell Evans, but just enough of a kind of influx position where there could be, some early departures or guys not exhausting their eligibility sense. Plus, Notre Dame's always like to play two tight ends. There's going to be rules for multiple guys, especially guys who have kind of different skill sets that can complement each other, or guys that allow you to move personnel without really having to change guys and sub guys off the field, going from, being an H-back or a fullback to lining up at tight end. Certainly seems like something Mitchell Evans could allow them to do.
Yeah, so after this season, Notre Dame will lose Brock Wright as, he will have exhausted his eligibility. You mentioned you don't think Tremble is a guy who will be gone after the season. Man, I think that could happen. I think there's a really good chance. When you look at the receiver tight end corps, you can make a really strong argument that Tremble is the most, I don't want to say proven, but he might be the most reliable target to start. He had a good chemistry with Ian Book last year, even as that number 2 tight end. So I do feel like Notre Dame could be down 2 scholarship guys in Wright and Tremble. So then you have George Takis, who we don't know a ton about, Michael Mayer, who you touched on, then Kevin Bauman. So Mayer and Bauman both freshmen this year. And Takis has eligibility through the 2022 season. So you got Kane Barong. I think bringing in Mitchell Evans is a good take for Notre Dame. Thomas Fidone and Brock Bowers were the guys that Notre Dame had been after for several months. Then they offer Eric Olson, a 4-star tight end from Colorado. We've discussed him a little bit in some of our past podcasts and videos, Patrick, so we won't get into too much of why he didn't pick Notre Dame, but he picked the Buffs. So then, Notre Dame wanted to, if they were going to take a second tight end in this class, they wanted to have it be someone who they felt was a difference maker. And Evans is intriguing enough to where you could talk yourself into this guy being a difference maker, whether if it's at tight end or you could maybe even play offensive line. Dude's 6'7", 240 already. Maybe he's closer to 6'6", maybe he's like 6'5" and 7/8 or something like that. I don't know if he's an exact 6'7", but he's big enough to where you could talk about him maybe sliding into the offensive line with his athleticism, like we're seeing with Joe Alt. Notre Dame's new offensive tackle committee, played tight end at the high school level, and as a junior. Now he's expected to come in as an offensive tackle for the Fighting Irish. Well, they're recruiting Evans as a tight end, but who knows? Maybe he does bulk up and plays along the offensive line. Evans as a player, he's just a big jumbo athlete. He punts, he plays a little bit of quarterback, he catches the ball well. Just a really good all-around football player. Notre Dame is in the business of let's get the best football players and then let's figure out their position.
And we talk about Brock Wright, who, if his role in the 2020 team is going to be a lot of what he does as a blocker. And one of the first things you notice about Mitchell Evans is the strong blocker that he is, given that frame. And he does a lot of the same assignments you want to see a blocking tight end in college do, and that's be a lead blocker, do kick out blockers, cut block. And he's not just cleaning up safeties and things. He's
right.
hitting defensive linemen and linebackers and clearing holes and getting to the second level. So definitely a strong blocker who can line up and do that at a variety of places. And certainly you see that as kind of the biggest thing that jumps out. But can use him as use that frame to win kind of jump ball, contested catch spots where he can wall off. He's a big target in the middle of the field. If you kind of sit down in the soft spot of his zone, can line up mostly in line, but still you see him in the slot on seam routes, just trying to take advantage of his size. But definitely intriguing to see what he can do. But the big things that are instantly stand out is what the willingness and the strength and the size that he brings as a blocker.
Yeah, good get for tight ends coach John McNulty, offense coordinator Tommy Rees, certainly played a role. And recruiting coordinator Brian Polian is pretty much involved with just about every Notre Dame recruit these days, no matter what the position. So good work by the Fighting Irish staff. I mean, offering, I believe it was June 29th or June 30th. So, I mean, offered. He took his own self-guided tour of Notre Dame in July and then locked it up with a Notre Dame commitment.